Ladies' man tries to use the gay card to get into law school. A simple inquiry into seating arrangements, updates into family Armageddon. I know words. And more updates, goddammit. Hello, my snacks. Welcome back. My name is Jack. We begin our first of these stories with one that began as a bit of party envy, turning into arrest. My boyfriend is very excited about a party that I am not invited to. Beginning in early December, we have been together for about 1 year and he is amazing. We have had arguments here and there, but nothing too serious, except this one. Last week, he got invited to a college party and I wasn't. To which I don't really mind. Problem is, he was invited by one of the sorority girls who has made it clear that she has a crush on him on her socials. He plays football, by the way. Even has a highlight on her Instagram tagged, "My crush," with his pictures. My boyfriend told me there is nothing to worry about because he is only interested in me. He said she is delusional to think that there could be something between them. The party is on Friday and he has been very excited about it. He already prepared what he was going to wear yesterday, Tuesday. He bought new LV shoes and designer clothes normally he doesn't care about. He is always showing me that the party group chat and telling me how amazing everything is planned out. As he was showing me, he got an Insta message from the sorority girl saying, "We should try it then." He swiftly swiped it away and acted like it was nothing. When I asked him, he said she wants to learn how to throw a football. All right. I also overheard him talking with his best friend, a male, about how amazing it's going to be. Honestly, I feel like this excited him more than our anniversary, and it's hurting me. I asked him if I can join him, and he told me it's an invite-only party, so I can't come with him. So I need advice on what to do because I feel so overwhelmed and I am probably not thinking straight at the moment. What should I do? So, not much guesswork to wonder what he's up to with this party. At the time, a big fat ugly chick, literally their name, I'm not criticizing them, happily gives it straight to the OP. Dating a guy 21 plus when you're a teenager is stupid. You are a teeny bopper collectible. They are off living their single adult life when you aren't around. Then they get to come home to their kept pet who's waiting for them to return. You should dump him. And I'll just say this too, as someone in their late 20s with life experience. Fellas, you're going to experience the same thing yourself at some point. What really defines your maturity and life experience is your ability to acknowledge that it's that single person being an a-hole and not the entire gender that is just like this. I'm looking at you tater tot fans and the scornful women out there who aren't feminists as much as they are just blazing misandrists. So, with clear certainty things aren't going well in this relationship, we get an update a week later from the OP. Hey everyone, thank you all for opening my eyes. I didn't want to think the worst about my ex-boyfriend, but y'all were right. After making this post, I had a lot to think about and evaluate from the comments I received. Some were harsh to read, but I had to. I spent the next few hours crying alone in my apartment. For a very long time, I have avoided the idea of snooping through his phone, but on Thursday night, I did. And found very disturbing things. I went through his messages and took relevant screenshots of him talking to his sorority friend, but what I did not expect to find was the things I saw on his Discord. That's why I could not make an update earlier. He mentioned that I am his girlfriend to her and said he would leave me if she was up for it. He sent her flowers every Monday of the week since they started talking. Guess what? He has only bought me flowers twice in about a year. Since I could not go through everything on his Discord at night, I had to log in using a QR code on my laptop and found out he was messaging young girls, some as young as 13. The next morning, I woke up and rushed to my mom's house and turned off my phone. We talked for hours until I felt better and she advised me on what to do. I cannot mention every disgusting thing he has done here, but they would send each other pictures back and forth. One of them was so in love with him, she would send him money and random gifts. Whether he reciprocated really doesn't matter, and I don't care. I wanted to kick him out of my apartment so badly, but I thought it would be better for me to pretend everything is fine for one more day. So I messaged him and told him I'm at my mom's till Monday. Let him have fun with the sorority girl because it will sure be his last. I took the video recordings and screenshots of every conversation and reported him to the local police on Friday evening with the attachments, and they got back to me on Saturday with a few questions. I told them where he was, and I am the sole reason he got arrested in the same designer clothes he had on Friday. After all of this, I started realizing how manipulated everything he said to me was. He was my second boyfriend, and I overlooked a lot of things because I was in love. Once there was a girl looking for him outside our apartment, and she was at most 16. I knew she was in high school or had just finished by the conversation she was having on the phone, but it never hit me that he was grooming her. I feel so disgusted, and I probably need therapy to get through this. I no longer feel sad about him, and the sorority girl, she can have him. He was on a college scholarship. I think that's gone too. So TLDR, he got arrested for engaging with minors. I seriously can't fathom any man who actually chases after minors like that. I mean, why waste the effort? They are so far underground. Agreed. Absolute props to the OP here for doing the right thing about this. It's one thing if he was being a scummy cheater and not realizing the girls' ages, but he clearly knew what their ages were and clearly kept chasing after them. So I don't think this is any sort of case of someone being young and making stupid, selfish mistakes. No, this is a genuine predator who deserves everything that came to him. This next two-parter story brings up an interesting discussion on the desperation of one chasing approval no matter the cost. My boyfriend wants to lie on his law school applications about how he's gay. Okay, so my boyfriend of 2 years is Asian American and had a very high pressure and I'm almost completely sure physically abusive, but he'll never admit to anything of that nature, childhood to get into an Ivy League university for undergrad. He believes he was a more qualified applicant than everyone else in his class, but didn't get into any Ivy Leagues, including a case where he and his best friend at the time, a girl, were waitlisted together on one of them. She was called from the waitlist and told him it was definitely because of her race, being white, her gender, and because her family was able to pay full tuition, whereas his wasn't able to pay really anything. She offered to decline it for him so that he could go instead, but he refused. Now, a quick edit. I didn't write that last part clearly enough. It wasn't a literal trade-in opportunity offered by the university, but they were the only two students from that school, as far as they knew, to be waitlisted. The school was the largest in its geographic area, so they thought that he was next in line due to being a more qualified applicant on the objective stats, but less favorable in other areas. Now, obviously, we'll never know since he told her not to turn down the offer. So anyway, the whole experience left him extremely bitter about his chances in applying to anything, and he fully believes that lying on his application is acceptable insofar as he's not caught, because the primary thing he's judged on is his race anyway. Anyway, he's done extremely well for himself in college, unless he really screws up the interview, and he's gone to several mock interviews on the off chance that was why he didn't get into the Ivy Leagues and passed with flying colors, so he's practically guaranteed a spot at the top 40 law school at our university, in-state privilege, and our pre-law advisors told him he's got a great chance at the top 10. He doesn't believe they're being completely honest though. However, he's not interested in top 10, he's interested in top 5. I think it's because of his mum, primarily, who I know calls him every 3 days and seems to barely ask about his life and instead asks about the status of his application, where he's thinking of applying, etc. Actually loves his mum and says that she was nice to him, but from what he's told me, she was just not as bad as his dad. It makes me sick to my stomach to realize that after everything he's done and went through, he still wants the approval of his parents. After a particularly long call yesterday, he seemed thoughtful and distracted for most of the night, and then he came back to me today to ask if it was okay with him taking off pictures of me from his social media, and I edit captions or delete certain pictures to make it seem like we're just friends, not dating. I asked why, and he said that he thinks the best move for him is to say that he's gay on his application. He showed me some drafts to the personal essay questions that he wrote up about being gay. They're all really insightful and everything, but it's not completely true and authentic to his life. I mean, the crazy thing is that he's bi. He doesn't tell almost anyone because he's afraid his parents will disown him if they found out, but he reluctantly showed me some pictures of his ex-boyfriend from our freshman year of college when we were talking about our exes. I asked him why he doesn't just say that, because that's actually true. He laughed and said that nobody will care about that, and then went into an explanation about the epistemic contract of bi-erasure, which actually kinda made sense. Now, I actually don't care about taking down social media posts or whatever. It's only temporarily, and even if it's not for whatever reason, we'll still have those pictures. But the reasoning is what I don't like. So I told him point blank that I wanted to support him as much as I could, but I wouldn't do it for his outdated need to please his parents. We argued for a bit until I just said that I'd be happy to pretend he's gay by breaking up with him, but nothing in between. He looked hurt by that and said we should go back home. We don't live together. And think about it again. Now, I told my parents, who love him, and they actually surprisingly seemed torn about whether lying about being gay was really that bad. But they did agree that threatening to break up with him was too far. I was completely floored by this. So now I'm turning to the internet. I know playing up the things you did is a standard part of applications, but this just seemed too far. If it's not too far, though, then yeah, I crossed a line by threatening to break up. What do you think? So to point out some quick pointers, some would like to highlight and mention that lying on your law application form of sorts absolutely affect their chances. Sure, you can risk it for the biscuit, but if they find out, they are very most likely just going to absolutely kick him out as soon as they learn about it. So, good luck, mate. Have fun role-playing being gay for the next, 5 or 6 years of your life. Time to really test out that bisexuality of yours, I suppose. Others, literally gay cisgender lawyers themselves, would like to mention that that is not at all going to make a difference, and partners, honestly, kind of sounding like a loony bin at this point. Which, hey, I don't blame him. He's clearly desperately wanting to do anything possible to get his parents to actually love him. Others also highlighting that a good partner doesn't pressure you to do something you don't think is right. So while you may be unnecessarily dramatic to threaten to break up with them for making this choice, you're definitely not in the wrong to refuse to lie against something you just don't find morally right. Sure, you're meant to always be there to support your partner, but you're not always meant to bar your own rights and, morality for their sake just to keep them happy. I mean, you're meant to grow together, not just constantly approve of each other's already established boundaries and behavior. You're telling me that in your early 20s, you're both already perfect human beings as you are and you don't need to develop anything or improve in any way, shape, or form? Cute. So, update time. How does it all play out? Well, both of us were busy with finals, so we agreed not to talk about it until we were finished. And most of our time together was just studying anyway. After our last finals yesterday, we sat down and talked. So he said that he wasn't going to put that on his application and that I didn't need to do anything like take any pictures down. He apologized and said that he was in the wrong to prioritize our relationship below something that would only give him a marginal advantage, if there's any advantage at all. We've been dating for 2 years, and you think that there's a real potential for us to be the rest of our lives type thing. That should have taken priority. So that was good. Then I started asking him some questions along the lines of what I saw commenters say, and he was confused, then got angry. He correctly guessed that I had posted on Reddit about it. He was really unhappy about that, but he said he'd pretend like that didn't happen as long as I don't do it again. So I guess this is my last time posting here. He said no to pretty much everything commenters suggested, therapy, cutting contact with parents, but he did say that if there was a situation where he needed to choose between having a relationship with his parents and a relationship with me, he'd choose me. So it wasn't everything I was hoping for, but it's a good start, hoping I don't have to go through this again in the future. So, seemingly resolved, but some of the comments are very skeptical that your man's really gonna follow through with that idea that, oh babe, I would pick you over my parents that I desperately seek the approval of any time. And look, based on the stories we hear on this Reddit, the amount of times daddies run to their mummies, I don't blame them for assuming this. I mean, the fact we all are aware now that he is someone willing to lie, to do whatever it takes, I mean, not the best signs, my man. Now to end things off with a big bang of wedding drama. Am I the a-hole for refusing to sit at the kids' table at my brother-in-law's wedding? I'm 28 female, my husband 30 male, and I were invited to my husband's brother's wedding in the new year. For some context, we do not live in the same country as his family. We live in the US and they live in the UK, and we are trying to save for a house. So we really weren't planning on going on a holiday this year. The wedding is in July 2024, and truth be told, I am rather excited for this trip. I love his family and the UK, but my husband is stressed as it's going to cost us a lot of money, upwards of $5,000, including flights, hotel at the wedding venue, trains, etc. Also, for some more important backstory info, my husband's family hate each other. I mean, a nasty divorce that led to parents not speaking to each other for years. Most of the siblings, including brother-in-law, sided with the mom in the divorce. However, my husband has made it a point to not choose, and is very close to both parents still. Both parents have new families with younger kids. Now, 3 months ago, my husband's mother told us that we would be sitting at the table with all the other siblings. Most siblings are under 15 years old. The youngest is 8. My husband asked if we could potentially sit with his dad's side of the family or his grandparents, who we are very close to. However, his mother told him that we are the only neutral family members, so therefore we need to sit with the siblings as this is their first time meeting. The wedding party is worried about potential family drama arising. My husband and I were fine with this, as long as we are sitting together. So in case this is a bit confusing, this wedding doesn't just have 2 families coming together, it has 3, where 2 of them are basically like the Starks and the Lannisters. However, a few days ago, my brother-in-law asked my husband to be a groomsman, which he accepted. Now, I was thrilled for my husband, as he isn't super close to his brothers. I asked where I will be sitting now, that he would be at the wedding party's table. My husband just shrugged and said they likely won't move tables around that much. I asked the bride, who said I was still sitting with the siblings. I asked politely if I could be moved to the table with the grandparents. Again, I am extremely close to them. The bride politely told me that I am the only neutral party who has met all the siblings, so I could manage the questions and potential arguments arising. Again, this is the first time they are all meeting. I told her that I appreciate this is something that is worrying her, but I am not spending thousands of dollars to be a babysitter. She said she understood, but the seating is final. We argued a little more, but she ended the argument by saying I should be happy to be sitting with the kids because I work with kids and I should be flattered the family trusts me enough with this responsibility. I began to argue, but the bride snapped back that if I hated kids this much, I shouldn't have become a teacher. This is honestly one of the reasons I would rather not have a useful profession, because most friends and family members see it as something to use you for. Yes, she works with kids. The last thing she's going to want to do on a holiday, at a wedding, at a vacation experience is work. Now, please don't get me wrong. I love his siblings, but they are all at least 15 years younger than I am. I also love kids. I am a teacher, but I want to relax and have a good time at this wedding. I also forgot to mention there will be cousins and kids from the bride's family at the table as well. So I've just made up my mind that I will not be sitting at the kids' table. I am going to wander the reception, drink, and have a good time. I will be pulling up a chair with the grandparents. I do not think it's a big ask for me to be moved to a table, but maybe I am wrong. My mum and husband think I am overreacting and I should just sit with the kids, but my co-workers and friends think I should not be forced to babysit and or manage potential family fights. So, am I the a-hole? Now, as the post did blow up, there are a few things the OP wanted to clarify. That 1, they've already booked the plane ticket, so there's no chance for them to refund and back out all of a sudden, as well as the fact that it's not actually formally known as the kids' table. It's being called the siblings' table. Clearly a little avoidance of confessing the true underlying motives for OP to have to come along, I suppose. It especially doesn't help that the sibling table is only made up of people that are 15 and under. You know, like a kid's table. Some are immediately skeptical, wondering if this is just them trying to make you a scapegoat. They know that the arguments are going to be inevitable, so easier just to blame you, the adult in the situation, for causing it all to happen, even though they all clearly knew it was going to happen and basically have just thrown a grenade into a room and left it up to you to defuse. So it actually was only a day later before the OP gave the next update, and my golly gosh, it is a long one. So, strap in, here we go. Just a quick little backstory on some things, explaining that OP and her husband actually eloped due to this family drama stuff. In fact, husband's mother never actually really supportive of this decision and clearly would have some negative thoughts on the OP as a result, no doubt. Turns out the two younger full brothers, also huge mama's boys, while the husband actually is able to set boundaries and, you know, more independent than those kids, so clearly that would also irk the mother, I suppose. Apparently breaking mummy's heart for being an independent adult. How dare the child you raise become a mature adult? Ugh. Also note, the bride and groom are very close with husband's mother. So close that the bride has asked my husband's mother to walk her down the aisle. So on to the update. My husband and I zoomed with the bride and groom yesterday to address our concerns. Now, for those who told me to just sit at the table because they are likely stressed with the wedding planning, I helped plan my sister's wedding, so I know moving one seat is not a big deal. And I only asked because my husband wasn't sitting with me anymore. Now, the bride just said that she confirmed with the rest of the family that the siblings will all be under my care during the reception. Now, I asked if it would just be my husband's siblings, to which my brother-in-law said, "Oh, we don't know yet. There are other family members coming and cousins who might want to sit with their cousins." Now, I would then say, "Oh, so this is the kids' table." And my brother-in-law said, "Oh, that's not important." Now, I finally asked, "Are you going to blame me if any family drama comes up?" My brother-in-law just said, "Oh, that's why you were there, to prevent family drama." So, you were all right about that. Okay, Reddit, this is where things got interesting. For those who said we were being punished, bingo. The bride adds my mother-in-law into the chat. She tells me to stop being selfish, and that if I had a problem with being at the siblings' table, it's clear I have a problem being in the family. She also said, if I am not willing to mediate potential family-related questions and problems that might arise, I clearly do not care about my brother-in-law and his bride, and that I want to create problems on their big day. My husband was shocked, and asked what makes her say that. My mother-in-law then says that it's clear I have been manipulating my husband away from her family. She accused me of siding with his father in the divorce, and that ever since my husband met me, we have been spending more time with his father's side of the family. Now, I want to mention that their divorce happened almost 20 years ago, and we rarely talk to his father. Her only evidence to this accusation was that I am not willing to openly side with her. I was completely shocked by these accusations. My husband said that these accusations are rude and inappropriate, and demanded my mother-in-law apologize, or he will be cutting her off like John did. That caused mother-in-law to start crying. The bride chimed in that we never included them in our wedding, we eloped, and that this was my opportunity to prove myself as a dedicated member of the family. Obviously, this blindsided me, as I genuinely had no idea they felt this way. I always go above and beyond for Christmas and birthday gifts. When we visit, I ensure I dote on their children, and I always take the ladies of the family out for a ladies' brunch. I can understand our wedding situation is upsetting, but if my mother-in-law had voiced this to us 4 years ago, we would have hosted a small ceremony or family celebration. My mother-in-law adds that since I wasn't willing to deal with the family drama at our wedding, I should be willing to deal with it for my brother-in-law. I just sat there, jaw on the floor. My mother-in-law snapped, saying she knew the type of person I was from the second I excluded her from her son's wedding, and that I am a selfish manipulator who wanted to steal her son from her and destroy her family, and that my husband in enabling me by not insisting I put the family's need before my own enjoyment and babysit the kids during her other son's big day. She was hoping my meltdown would show my husband what kind of person I was. Needless to say, we ended up fighting for a few more minutes before my husband slammed the computer screen down. My husband and I chatted for a moment. He apologized for his family and reassured me he knows none of those things his mother said were true. We turned our phones off and had a date night. Now, John, 32 male, my husband's older brother, got in contact with us through Instagram this morning. His wife gave me a call, and we talked for hours about what happened. Apparently, the reason they left the family was because my mother-in-law did something similar to John's wife. We will call Sandy, 32 female. Sandy didn't want a big wedding due to drama on her family's side and decided to have a small ceremony with their friends. She invited my mother-in-law, who refused to attend because my father-in-law would be there. Mother-in-law threatened Sandy she would make sure John left her if Sandy didn't exclude John's father from the wedding. Sandy didn't listen and went through with their wedding as planned. Mother-in-law accused Sandy of cheating and baby-trapping John. Now, Sandy was pregnant at the time. My mother-in-law stalked Sandy and took photos of her out with her friends and with her brother, sending them to John as proof of her infidelity. Mother-in-law posted these photos on Facebook, captioning it, "Caught you, cheater." Relatives began harassing both John and Sandy as a result. John and Sandy then moved away and blocked everyone, and has not been in contact with the mother-in-law side of the family ever since. I don't remember this at all, as I had only been with my husband for a year, and he didn't want me involved with his family drama. Now, obviously, I feel awful that this happened to John and Sandy, but they assured me they forgive both me and my husband. So, long story short, Sandy and John are still in contact with the father. It's how they found out about our situation. John and my husband had a long phone call this morning, to which my husband apologized for enabling his mother. My husband has gone no contact with his mother and brothers, for now, and we are going to use our trip to visit my old friends from uni and visit John and Sandy. I am really excited to meet them. So yeah, for those of you who made it this far, thank you for reading. This small problem ended up revealing a much larger issue. I am very thankful for this community for pushing me to push back. Sometimes I can be a little shy and overly forgiving. Looking back, the signs were all there and I just ignored them. I am very hurt, as I really wanted to have a relationship with my husband's family, but I know I deserve better. Again, thank you, and if anything else happens, I will keep you all updated. Straight to the comments. Mother-in-law never got over the divorce, did she? Glad your husband and his brother will get reunited at least, and I just hope there will be drama at this wedding. Some other people sharing similar stories. We met a guy once who ranted constantly about his ex. We thought it must have been a fairly new occurrence. It was 18 years before we met him. He found every chance to throw a jab at her, and we never even met her. Yeah, my parents divorced when I was 10. 30 years later, that man was still berating about how that horrid woman took all my money. Note, my dad was cheating and moved in immediately with the secretary at work when my mom kicked him out. And in case you yourself are wondering how in the hell your brother-in-laws could be siding with your mother-in-law and then meet women just as crazy as the mother-in-law, a very plausible theory, something tells me that OP's brother-in-laws are very comfortable with domineering women. Anyway, we might end things there. Thank you as always for watching. Hope you had a good time. Remember to drink some delicious little slurpy water, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.